Hello and welcome to SavePoint. In this video, we will walk you through the initial setup process to help you get up and running with your first budget. Displayed here is the initial login screen when you first start the program. If you haven't done so already, you can click the Create New Profile button right down below here to create your account. Once complete, you'll transition automatically to the Setup Wizard, which is what we're going to display today. If you already have an account like we do, right here, you're able to click, log in, and then automatically begin your setup. So right now we're going to click and log in to access the main SavePoint program. And now that we're logged in, we're going to begin with the initial setup wizard to help you get set up with the SavePoint program. Okay, so here we are in the setup wizard. As you can see from the progress bar at the top right up here, there are just 6 quick steps to get through. We have the welcome, the budget period, income sources, spending goals, expense categories, and then an overall final review. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder of what makes SavePoint special. And I think one of the most important and unique features that we have here is that this program is 100% private. Essentially, the data that you put in never leaves your computer as far as the program is concerned. What do we mean by that? Within this version of the program, this is an offline only version of the program that we're demonstrating today. There is no phone home capability. The data does not leave the computer. It never attempts to reach our servers. There's no capability like that built into this program at all. The offline version of the program is just that. There's no online connections whatsoever. The program will work perfectly if you have no connection to the internet. So again, the data is as safe as your computer is safe. So whatever you do with that database is completely up to you. But the database, at least through this program, will never leave your computer at all. There is the possibility of an online capable version of the program. That will be a totally different scenario. We will, of course, prioritize security in that version. But one thing to consider, while we will offer offline and online capable versions of the program, our goal is to ensure that both versions will have the same features regardless of you using the offline only and the online capable. There may be some features that only online capable can offer, but again, our goal is to ensure that both the offline and the online have the same exact features wherever possible. So I think that's the number one most important thing for us to consider today. And now we'll move on to just discussing the overall setup process. We'll continue with this sort of overview. So again, this is the welcome screen that you'll see once you log into and begin your setup. On the left-hand side here, you do have your setup and settings, and this is again where you'll see more of the different modules of the program once you complete the setup. So again, we have our welcome screen here, and we will click on next to begin our transition to the budget period. Within the budget period, this is all about setting the 12-month time frame for your budget. You'll see the fiscal year is already set to the current year, since most people follow the calendar year. But if you need to, you can change this to any year you want to plan for. It's completely up to you. You can click, make it 2024, 2020, or you can type in yourself 2023. It's completely up to you what year you'd like to work with. We're going to set ours to 2025. And if you need to, we can also give our budget a name. This is completely up to you. The default is fine, and default would just be no name. But if you'd like to make it something more meaningful for you, such as 2025 financial plan or 2025 family budget, you can do that as well. It's just a descriptor for you, but you don't need it. Once you've got that set, go ahead and click on next to move to the next step. So the next step here we're going to review is income sources. So this is where we tell SavePoint what money you have coming in. To add one, you just click on the Add Income Source button at the bottom here. So it's actually an Add Custom sort of category. So you can add any category that you'd like. The program does come pre-populated with several income sources. So we have after-tax income, business income, deposit interest, salary, just to name a few. If those aren't working for you and don't completely capture your situation, you could add something completely different. So if you have, you know, gig work, you can add gig work, and that will be a permanent category that will exist within this budget. So you can add, again, as many custom categories as you need just by clicking the Add Income Source button or Add Custom right down below. And if you don't need any particular categories, you can also click the Delete button and you can just delete those categories, and they will no longer exist in your final budget. So again, we have the category field here, which we have as our income sources, and we have a monthly amount field. And this is where you type in just how much you earn each month, or how much you plan to earn each month, or at least on average what you would expect to earn. So if we had an estimated salary of, let's say, $2,000, we type that in right here, and then in this column it's our annual amount. So $2,000 monthly equates to $24,000 annually. So that will automatically calculate for each individual category that you have in your income sources field. And we can add a few more if we like to. So let's say $300 of deposit interest, and let's say we make $100 from our gig work. And another thing that we can do is each of these little icons here represent the category for your income sources. And we have a similar feature in the expense side as well. And you can change this as something that is interesting to you, that describes the category a little bit better. So, let's say for gig work, we drive people around from point A to point B. So let's look at a car emoji, and we can add a car, and that will automatically change and represent our gig work. So we'll give this a quick once over, and we can always go back if we're unsure about something. Once we get to the final review, we could always come back and change something. Once the setup is complete, we could still add more income sources after the fact. We can edit existing income sources after the fact, and we can delete income sources after the fact as well. So this is not set in stone, but this will represent your budget for in this case, 2025 budget period. So let's click on Next. This next step is where we would set our spending goals within SavePoint. SavePoint uses the 50-30-20 rule as essentially a starting point when you're creating your budget to set your goals. This is a high-level strategy for what you do with your money. 50-30-20 refers to how you distribute needs, your wants, and your savings. So 50% of your income will go to the needs category, which includes things such as rent, groceries, and utilities. 30% of your money would go towards wants. These are fun things, your discretionary spending, items like dining out and hobbies. And 20% goes to savings for your future, your emergency fund, investments, etc. Now, these percentages are just a starting point. They're your aspirational targets for your budget. You can use the sliders that we have here, or you can just type in the boxes to adjust these numbers to whatever fits your overall life and situation. The system is set up in a way that it will always add up to 100%. You can't proceed unless it does equal 100%. And again, this is flexible for each budget year. So you'll set it one time here, and you could always go back and change it within the settings for the budget. So if you feel like maybe you budgeted a little bit too much in the needs category and you want to add a little bit more to savings, you could always go back to this in the future and adjust it for this budget year. And every budget year, you can set up a new set of spending goals that may better align with your financial situation at that time. So with that, if you're happy with your spending goals, you're able to click next and then move on to the next category. Next up, we have the expense categories section. This is where we get into the details of what you spend each month and build the expense side of the budget. You'll see that SavePoint gives you a comprehensive list of default categories to start with, especially as we scroll down. All of these are organized into various subcategories. Looking at subcategory 1, we have needs and discretionary, or essentially these are the spending goals that we had just set up in section 4. And looking at some of these overall categories, you'll see some common ones such as cable and internet, gasoline, recreation, rent, among others. For each category that we have here, you do have a few options. First and foremost, you can choose to delete any default category that is not relevant for your budget by clicking the trash can icon over here. This is similar to the income sources section as well. If you think you may need a category later, you are welcome to leave it, and you could always keep the monthly budgeted amount to $0. Second, you'll just set the monthly budgeted amount, and you can click in the field and type in a number, such as you can edit here, $50 for cable and internet. And again, similar to the income sources section, it will automatically calculate the annual budget, like so. And also similar to the income sources section, if you scroll all the way down, we have another add custom button. So you could always add a custom category that's relevant to you. So we could add a pet expenses category, for example, and we can always change the icon as well. And this is, again, very similar to the income sources section. By clicking this icon here, you can change it to something that's more representative of the category. So we type in dog here, and we, again, can change the icon to the dog category. And so now you can actually take a look all the way at the bottom, and as we've been typing in a few expenses, you can see that it automatically tallies the monthly amount and the annual amount that we have budgeted as an expense. And one last item to consider, SavePoint is set up to allow for flexibility for your budget, and as such allows you to assign subcategories that we talked about earlier to each expense category. So these are used to help you track your spending goals, as is the case for subcategory 1, which was used to look at your needs and your discretionary spending, and also ties into your savings as well. And you can also add another category to allow more detailed analysis into your spending. By default, SavePoint further divides your expenses into categories such as living expenses, utilities, miscellaneous, food, and others. These are all set by default. You are very welcome to change these or add additional subcategories to better track your spending. These are essential to allow for more advanced reporting. So take your time in thinking about what type of categories best reflect your overall situation. And in general, take your time on this step, as this will essentially inform much of your reporting throughout SavePoint, and you could always change this later, but we do recommend just spending a little bit of time now to make things easier moving forward. And once again, if you just wanted to set the bare bones from the beginning, you could always come back and adjust this later. So we're going to move ahead. I'm just going to throw in some random numbers here just so we have something to look at in the next screen. And let's just click on next and see what things look like. So this final page here is our overall review of the budget we just created. We didn't really put much in there at all. We just clicked a few numbers just for summary purposes as we walked on through. And this review screen provides a complete summary of everything you've just entered. So within the budget summary section, you can get a very high-level overview of what you had just entered, looking at your total monthly income and expenses and the net monthly amount for income and expense. And then on the right-hand side here, we can see our spending goals versus actual. This calculates based on the numbers that you put in. So we have your needs, your wants, and your savings. And we have a little icon here that shows that, our wants and our savings are on target. So wants is on target because it is below the target number. Our savings is on target because it is above our target of 20%. But needs requires a little bit of attention, or at least just to be something for us to pay attention to, that our needs category is actually above our target of 50%, that more of our spending is going towards our needs than we had planned, at least as it is budgeted currently. So you're always welcome to go back and adjust. This is not a hard restriction, so you can finalize the budget at this step regardless of those notifications here. But then you can look at just a high-level summary again on the left-hand side, and you can see how much money you're taking in versus how much that you're spending each month, and overall how much you are planning to save. If you wanted to get a little bit more granular and see what constitutes this budget altogether, we can see the comprehensive income sources and expense categories budgets that we had just put together. So you have the ability to scroll down, or we can hide the $0 categories just to make this less cluttered. Even the $0 categories, as long as you didn't delete them, will get rolled up into the final budget once we hit complete setup. So we can see exactly what goes into our spending and our income for this budget. And if you spot anything that you need to change, once again, you can just hit the previous button and go back to any step and change the numbers to make it more, again, representative of the budget you're looking to create for this year. But once you're done and you're satisfied, if everything looks correct, you can go ahead and click Complete Setup, and this will allow you to complete and save your new budget. And with that, the setup is complete. The budget is saved. This was our 2025 budget, and the setup wizard is complete, and your first budget is now, again, finalized and saved. So from this screen, you're able to dive into the main program, and it does provide a little bit of advice here and some information that may be useful. It calculates for you the total number of income sources that we have, the number of expense categories that we have, and the spending goals that you had set up previously for this budget. And there are some recommended actions to take after you've completed your initial setup. You can create your accounts first. You can then move on to add transactions, and you can track your daily balances. These are just a few suggestions. You can see to the left-hand side here, the navigation bar has unlocked the additional modules within SavePoint that you could now access. Again, we recommend the next step is to set up your accounts, and there's another video that you can use to review that. And within the account screen, this is where you're going to add your bank accounts and your credit cards that you'll be referencing throughout the rest of the program. After that, you can then move on to the transactions page to begin recording your spending once you have accounts that they are now tied to. So with that, we thank you very much for watching the SavePoint setup walkthrough. With this, you have everything that you need to complete the setup. Please check out our other videos to learn more about how to use the SavePoint program. Thank you.